Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shana Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, beautiful souls, to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. Today, I have with me the beautiful Rochelle Olsen. Rochelle was raised in Western New South Wales, Australia. Rochelle knows all too well the challenges that rural living can present. Being a career clinical pharmacist for over 20 years, Rochelle suddenly found herself choosing between surviving baby loss and the career she had built her identity around. Rochelle experienced a missed miscarriage in 2014, which was incredibly uninformed and frightening. Then their firstborn son, Edward, dies at 7 hours old. Rochelle found unacceptable gaps in the support and guidance after baby loss and decided to do something about it. She told her pharmacy, and whilst she was on to have two beautiful Earthside boys, she also experienced a second miscarriage. She's trained as a pregnancy loss practitioner with the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss, grief and loss support worker, and became a mental health first aid accredited. Now she's a lamplighter for baby loss mums in rural Australia when they need it the most. Welcome, Rochelle, to the show.
Thank you, Shana. That's everything.
Yeah. Such a big journey that you've been through, but also something beautiful that you've come out the other side with.
Absolutely.
So I've touched on a little bit about your story in that, but did you want to expand a little bit about, on your story and the challenges that you did see in rural and remote Australia?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, my first experience of pregnancy was a miscarriage and was extremely traumatic, and it was quite scary and in hospital and in regional Australia, but I've grown up in rural and remote Australia. But even in regional Australia, I was a clinical pharmacist here for many years before I went into retail. So everyone at the hospital knows me. So in a time when I was very vulnerable and really upset, I sort of had people popping in to say g'day and hello, and I was still completely uninformed. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know. Anyway, I got to a point where I had to go into surgery. So that was the end of that, and didn't have a single outreach or any follow-up. Hubby picked me up the next morning super early because I was awake, and I was like, just get me out of here. So there was no information there, even though I knew hundreds of people in this hospital. So then I went on to have our second pregnancy, which was Edward. And unfortunately, he was born. So I worked in my pharmacy all this time, and I worked right up until the day I went into labour with him, because I broke my waters at 31 weeks. So it was all about managing and trying to stay in hospital as long as possible and all of that. So anyway, we ended up birthing him the next morning, and he died at 7 hours old with lots of complications that we were completely unaware of, even though because of the first miscarriage, I'd had millions of tests, and I was, I'm a pharmacist. I'd diagnosed everything. I made sure I had and I knew all the pathology and all of the tests that I could have, had them all, and there was no inkling at all that anything was going to go wrong, especially when you're in a special care nursery with twins that were born at 27 weeks. And, it's just, it's really baffling. So it was a really confusing, horrible time. And although my business partner was really great, was just, take as much time as you need, I just found I just couldn't get back to work. I tried several different ways of going back to work, but I just knew too many people for starters. I was pretty well regarded pharmacist around town, so everyone knew me. And I had built a community, a small community in the suburb that I worked in Dubbo. And they were my, surrogate nans and pops and my friends. And, everyone came into that shop. Like, if anyone wanted to see me, they had to come to the shop because I worked so much. Like, so that's where they came. That's where that was my social circle as well. So I had really built this community. And when Edward died, I didn't know how to communicate that. My business partner, my staff all tried to communicate it, but it was really obviously upsetting for them too. I ended up I went so many times I had to run into my office and just hide because I'd hear someone say, "Oh, she had the baby yet." Now, this would be months later. I'd be like, "Oh, I was just having a good day," and I thought everyone knew and we were all educated and we didn't have to worry. And and then I'd see someone go across, "Oh, is that Rochelle? She had the baby." And I'd be a mess again. And I had a staff member completely sort of abuse me and actually shook me by the shoulders and said, "You need to snap out of this." And it just was like a building up of, this is really crap, I'm trying my hardest. I'm back at work. I'm trying to run a business. This is horrible. Anyway, I stuck at it for about 3 or 4 months and fell pregnant with Jock, who is my little earthside sunshine. And Edward was my first rainbow baby. So I call Jock my sunshine. He was due in September. So in about February, I said, "You know what? This is not healthy for me. I can't do another pregnancy with all these people constantly walking on eggshells or me walking on eggshells." And pregnancy after loss is extremely taxing and very, I guess I would have to say I was disassociated from myself. Like I had disassociated from the pregnancy and I was really struggling with it every day. So I sold my partnership out in July, and he bloody came early. So he came in August. So I got about 2 weeks to get prepared for this baby. And it has still continued to be a real, this is 7 years now, and I still have people say, "When are you coming back to pharmacy?"
Yeah.
It took, I think it was 5 years before I even walked into a pharmacy shop, because I had linked it so inextricably to Edward's death, because it was so traumatic seeing these people every day and reliving it and re-explaining. And it was just, my boundary setting was not that great because I was the community pharmacist. So everyone told me everything and I was pretty open myself. But when it came to something that I needed to keep to myself, I just didn't know how to handle it at all. So, it has led me down a different path, and realising that communities are not educated enough about this, and that although I attended our local Association for Loss and Grief, well, it's not local, it's national, but we luckily have the head office here in Dubbo. I went to them for a while and they were incredible because that was the only support that I was getting. And then they did put me onto a psychologist, but as we've often talked about, it's just not enough. Just talking is just not enough sometimes, because you need someone to help you with the understanding. And I wasn't understanding why this all happened and what to do. Like I often used to say, "Give me some tools. Like, what can I do? I don't want to talk about last week and how shitty it was. I want to talk about, what do I do if it happens next week?"
Yeah.
So, I just found gaps, and I just felt so incredibly alone and isolated. I didn't know anyone else who'd had a loss like mine. I searched and I searched and I did courses, and I just wanted to find something that would help me come up with these tools. And I changed psychologist. I just did everything. And I just felt like I was constantly on a hamster wheel looking for the next thing, because that wasn't helping, and the crafts that I've done, oh my God. So it's just, it's been a real challenge. And being an actual, medical professional, you'd think I would know what to do, but you just don't. Like it's not about support. It's not about the medical side of things or the physical or what have you. It's all the other stuff. I just found I had really had to do something, because I thought, if I feel isolated and I feel alone and I live in a regional city, what do my rural and remote sisters, how do they feel? Like they don't even have a GP to go to sometimes. Like it's just really frightening. So yeah, that's most of my story until I met you.
Yeah.
That's the next step.
That's the next chapter. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I wanted to also thank you for sharing all of that, because it is to be able to go back and just share, it's almost like you sort of touching on that part of your story again and feeling into that part of your story again. So I really do appreciate you sharing that. And you're so right, like the way that you're referred on from any doctors or anything after it happens is often to a therapist or, a counselor. And, for myself as well, I was left going, I need more. There's something else that I need and I'm not getting it. And it's not until you find someone that has gone through that experience, like you said, all of your years as a medical professional didn't prepare you for this type of healing and recovery.
Yeah.
And that is as well, like even in trained therapy and counseling, they're not prepared to be able to support someone through pregnancy loss and child loss, because it's not something that a lot of them have experienced. They don't know the actual depths of that pain.
That's exactly where I wanted to just touch on that too, is that the biggest issue I felt was it was also generalized. And this is so specific.
Yeah.
It's so specific to each mum. And I myself, the lane I work in is baby loss mums in rural and remote Australia, but that's because it's my lived experience and it's my, my goal in life to help those mums. But even dads, siblings, everything, it's so specific and so incredibly different for every family. I know grief is as well for any loss, but I just felt I needed someone who got it. I needed someone who, yes, had been through it, or at least was the sister of someone who went through it. Like I just needed someone who had some sort of experience in that area, but also could then translate that into helping me, not just sitting with me and viewing what I was going through, which is what I felt was happening for too long. I'm talking till after Jock was born. So at least, maybe 2 years after Edward's death, I was still just talking and that was it. There's no strategies in place. I was just coming up with them myself.
Yeah. And that's like a lot of the time, that's how you feel. You're left to just, you feel like you're left floundering, and trying to put it all together yourself, to piece it all together and find something that works. And given the prevalence of loss, like you feel like there should be more in place for women that are going and navigating that. But it's still so stigmatized. It's not talked about, even from the medical professionals. It's almost like they, obviously they explain everything that's happening, but beyond that, they can't support you. They don't know how to support you. And it's really, I know it baffles you. It baffles me still that there's so many women that are going through loss and still so many women that are struggling and suffering in silence. And like you said, there's also so many elements to loss that no one, if you haven't experienced it, you don't think it's going to happen. Like, you're mentioning even connecting your work title and a physical pharmacy to your loss. So it wasn't even the fact that you were going to your job. It was just that physical pharmacy presence that was triggering you, and having that identity for yourself where people just knew you as this person,
as this job, like this the pharmacist. It's not Rochelle. It's not Rochelle Olsen I'm going to see, it's the pharmacist I'm going to see. So you do link yourself, you become that person. And that's all I'd done as a profession for 20 years, But the physical places is true also. And that's just another challenge I came up with, is I live near the hospital because it's a little town. I literally am in the flight path for the Westpac, toll helicopter when it comes in to airlift people. And for a long time I used to think, we were meant to be airlifted he didn't make it. It's so many things. Whereas I used to be sad because I think, oh, there's the toll helicopter. That's something bad's happened, But we live within that block, and it's the same anywhere, where you have that loss. You link that loss to whether it be at home on the farm or whether it be at a local hospital or GP or your sister's house or whatever. It hurts so badly to see it again, and it takes a lot to build yourself. I had to be hypnotized to go back in to have jock. I didn't think I could do it. I absolutely didn't think I could walk in those doors again. So I had to be hypnotized to get through the doors. So it's pretty, especially when it had been, again, a workplace that I'd associated with working memories. They then mingled with these horrible traumatic memories. So it was really, really confusing and challenging to be able to, I considered going and living in Sydney for 5 to 6 months to have him up there, so that I didn't have to walk in this hospital. But then I realised if he ever got sick at home, I'm going to have to go to that hospital. Like, I have no choice. So I had to figure out another way to get around that, because I had no one to guide me and tell me, hey, how are you feeling about going back to that hospital to give birth? It was like, oh, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out a way. And, it was a very big challenge, that was. Yeah.
And it's not until you experience it that you realize how big those challenges are, those everyday challenges. And I know that we can touch on with loss, you do have this, there's always the identity of like, am I even a mum? Am I even who am I now that I have gone through this? How were you able to sort of support yourself through that, and be able to, I guess maybe find that place of acceptance of not being that person anymore?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't before Jock was born and I had an earthside baby that I understood the extent of how much I was already a mum, and I hadn't acknowledged it very well. But I guess what I had to do around that and do around refinding my identity, I suppose, figuring out that your identity is not your job. That took a long time. And I even still sometimes struggle thinking back on it. But I had to come to a point where I had to assess who I was as a person. And ultimately, I've always been a helper and a leader. And that's, yes, I took that into pharmacy, but had I got into nursing back in the day, I would have took it into nursing. It wouldn't have mattered which way my career went. I still would have been helping people somehow. And I've always been interested in leadership. I've always been involved in student unions and, no bra burning, but very, I was the president of the student union at the university I went to, and I really enjoy sticking up for people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I just went, you know what, I'm going to just start helping mums while I've got these babies at home. So then by then, I think I had Flynn not long before I decided to become a practitioner. But I had started in the realm and I'd compiled all this stuff, all the things, that I have done to get to where I am, which was ridiculously large and probably didn't need to be that many things. So I re-identified as I am who I am, and what I do doesn't make me who I am. But because I'm a helper and because I'm a leader, that's what guides what I do as a career or as a mum or, whatever I do in life. So, but it took years to come to that, and actually starting my business, actually taking that leap and starting the business and going, oh yeah, I can do this. I don't have to be a pharmacist all the time. I still dabble. I still go and do a few hours here and there, but I do it because I want to do it now, not because I have to. And yeah, I think I had to come to the realization I could start a business in a different area that I'm really passionate about. But that brings me to finding the right training. That was the hard part. Yeah.
Segue into, what you do now. How was it that kind of all came about for you?
Yeah, I had tried for years, and I was seeing mums and I was seeing lots of I found I was seeing lots of burnt out mums that were stuck at home. So they weren't actually lost mums, but they were mums who had lost their identity because they'd been a career mum, then had this screaming little baby and been stuck at home and decided that they could, because a lot of us have had children later, luckily in a position we can stay home for a bit longer and we work our way around it. And they were just lost. They were like, they had no community and they had no person that understood this, like, because their work colleagues were still going on the 9 to 5 down. This is before COVID, obviously.
Yeah.
Which is another challenge. How long have we got? And I was seeing all these mums, and then I thought, you know what? I love helping people, but I really want to get specific now because it's the me's out there. It's the me. It's the mum with identity loss who has lost a baby. I just want to help baby loss mums in rural and remote regional Australia. I want to connect them in, and I want to be qualified to do it. And I know as a pharmacist, I had plenty of counselling experience. I'm personable. I can talk to anyone, but I wanted like a program that is going to help. And I wanted something, I know I've often said it, it's like I'd been picking flowers for 7 years, well, for 5 years when I met you, for 5 years, and I had them in a bunch and I had no idea how to give them to this mum. And I just needed to be able to get all these services and all these programs and all these things into a program that I could, you know, go ahead and give these mums what they need, give them direction and support and guide them to the right places. And I needed a qualification because I'm the sort of person who thinks, I want to practice what I preach. I want to know that if I was looking for someone, if I saw Pregnancy Loss Practitioner, I'd be much happier than, you know, just seeing someone I can help you. So, and I found I found you because you were doing you were doing it. You were doing the do, weren't you?
Yeah.
You were helping the mums and having incredible results. And I inquired if you would teach me, and you were like, no, I don't do that yet. No, you do. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah. You were my inspiration.
So I really wanted to have that blueprint and that foundation for my mums, and yours was just perfect. And yeah, we've been on the journey since.
Yeah. Evolving, expanding, bringing your magic to the world. You know, I'm forever grateful that you were, you know, bold enough to reach out to me and say, teach me what you do. Because
and persistent, because I think I asked twice. Right?
You did ask twice, yeah. Because without that sort of nudge from you, and obviously I considered it a sign from the universe at the second point that you reached out, that there needed to be something more. There needed to be more education, more structure around how to support and guide women through, you know, navigating life after loss. Where at whatever point you're meeting them, there needs to be that understanding and support. And, you know, I was offering that to angel mums when you were originally reached out. They did have incredible transformations. So I know that now what you're doing with the blueprint itself is going to transform lives as well. And I'm glad that you were able to redefine, you know, your identity so that you can now be in that position and confidently, you know, stand in that knowing for yourself that this is the place for you and offer that baby loss support.
Yeah. It's incredibly empowering actually to sit back and go, if I was stripped away of everything, which is what happens to us, we're stripped away of everything and I'm bare bones, who am I? What are my values? You know, what is important to me? You know, I probably didn't think family was that important to me until you lose a family member, you know, until you lose your baby and you're like, wow, like that was just my whole world gone. Like, but also I think because I've re-identified and figured out my own personal values and really worked on this business, it's made me more passionate. And so I've gone to the next level where I'm introducing, you know, education to community organizations and to businesses, to what we like. It's well-known fact of accidental counsellors, could be just a hairdresser or the chiropractor or someone who we all kind of break down to sometimes, our beautician. And then also to an industry level especially with the agricultural industries that I've been working with, I just feel like underlying problem at my shop was I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel anyone understood or was educated about what to expect when I came back to work. And so I'm now at a level where I'm helping mums a couple of days a week. I'm seeing mums in the office or on Zoom, but for every other bit of my waking hours, when I can work, I'm getting education out there and I'm trying to prepare businesses for what is the worst. But honestly, 1 in 4 women, if they employ women, a quarter of them are going to have this problem. This is going to happen to them, sadly. Rural and remote areas, it's higher. And Indigenous mamas, it's even higher again, the rates. So it's more than 1 in 4 in regional, rural and remote. And so your community and your industry that you work in or the business you work in or the hairdresser you visit or the chiro you visit, they need to know what to expect and how to treat you when you come back so that you feel safe. And that's what I feel has been missing this whole time. Again, on top of proper support and guidance is going to a safe space, like the world being safe for you to go to. Your community needs to be safe. You need to walk out and not feel like you have to keep your eyes cast down, that you're not going to see people run away from you in the frozen section of the supermarket, and real life experiences that people would be horrified if they knew what we've been through, all because our child died. So that's why I'm lucky I was able to do that re-identification and that, finding my values, because it's actually made me a stronger person, made me much clearer on who, how, where and why and what I want to do when it comes to the baby loss sector. And it is becoming a little sector. We've got beautiful practitioners that have gone through your program in our group, and it's so nice to be able to say, if I can't see people, it's fine. We've got more. We've got more. It's okay. You're not alone. We can actually do this now. A lot's changed in 7 years, that's for sure.
Absolutely. I can vouch for that too, for myself, seeing that everything changed. There's still a hell of a lot to change. And like you said, even what you're seeing in business, I absolutely agree, because, there was an instance where I know someone went into a personal trainer and she had experienced pregnancy loss and got triggered by another client that was in there because that client was pregnant. And, there is so many different places that need this education, and it's our everyday places, because at any touch point in a woman's life, they're going to be going into the supermarket, the hairdressers, you said, the chiropractor, and they seem like, everyday people that you don't necessarily need to talk to about, but then one day something will happen, you'll be triggered, and these people won't know how to support you. So it is very important that, you've had this awareness to say, okay, yep, you need to be educated to be able to support people either coming into your business or support your staff that are already working for you, because it is a very high statistic. And, you don't want your staff to be suppressing everything, pushing everything inside. You want them to know that they have an inclusive workspace where they can show and, be themselves. And if they're feeling that they're having a really down day, be able to express that and have the understanding from their employer.
Yes, have it reflected back to them that it's okay. And I understand, even from an employer's point of view, it is really difficult when someone has such a traumatic thing happen to them, because you're balancing, you need staff. We're incredibly short-staffed after COVID anyway. This is just the industry just screaming out for people. So the only way they're going to improve on that is by being inclusive and gentle to these mums when they come back, and dads. even schools, I've been luckily, because I am remote, rural, people know me. And I'm so appreciative when someone reaches out and says, we want a bottom drawer box because this has happened already. And I want the box so that I can, go and educate my staff about this so that when that staff member comes back, and so we're getting there. Like it's happening. Yes, the people that have reached out often have already had the experience, but at least I'm so grateful for those employers to reach out and say, okay, I've even done a few learning lunches now where before the mum comes back, I just did it with a daycare last week, just have a chat to the staff via Zoom. Actually went in for this one and just for half an hour while they eat their lunch, went through some really simple supportive techniques, and that was it. And what a world of difference that'll make to her when she comes back next week.
Yeah.
She might only, to know that she can come in for a couple of hours and test the waters. See when we're exhausted too. When will she be tired? When, will she need to have maybe a 2-hour lunch? Who knows? So it's a pretty exciting kind of area to be educating people who want to provide that safe space for mums. It's really nice to see.
One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a lost mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives. I love that you've created. Do you want to just share a little bit about that? So, because you have been educating essentially businesses and bringing awareness to businesses as well in terms of how they can support the women coming back into the workplace.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about that and that bottom drawer box? Because I think it's an absolutely beautiful idea.
Yeah. So the bottom drawer box was just something that came out of the blue. I was thinking, I want to get my leaflets, my pamphlets, and my referrals from people. I was getting, so all of my referrals, let me rewind, were basically coming from exactly who I mentioned, the hairdresser, chiropractor, a few businesses whose staff members had that happen, had experienced it. And so I was like, I don't want to just drop pamphlets off to me. I want them to know how they can support this mum. So I developed this box and I actually made it to a finalist of the AgriFutures Rural Women's Award with it because we're going to get it to industry level, where it's not just businesses. So it contains referral, stuff they can give the mum. So my card and a leaflet on services that are available to them that has even a candle so that they can light that candle in remembrance of the baby or on Remembrance Day in October to show the mum their support, some ribbons, awareness ribbons, a referral leaflet. So the leaflet is explaining different ways and different pathways as an employer you could go, or as a business person with clients that this occurs with, how they could refer to a mentor, whether they could like a practitioner and mentor, which is what I do. They might buy, I also have a little gift shop on my website, so they might buy a gift and I will gift it to them so that they're showing their support for that mum. Yeah, and just those sort of resources that help show that they're really taking an interest in what has happened, that we're not brushing it aside. We actually have thought about this. Here's a pamphlet and a card of someone who can put you in. If she can't help you, she will put you in contact with who can. And that's my driving force, is just connecting these mums to the resources, they already have, but because they're rural and remote, they think they have nothing. We think we just have, what do you call them, phone lines, call helplines.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. And we're lucky we have those services. They are beautiful, the big companies, the big organizations that do that. But if anyone's like me, you need that person to look you in the eye and talk to you, or, just be really present with you. And it's hard over the phone to get that personalization. And so I'm just trying to get that bottom drawer box out. And I call it that obviously because you want to stick it in the bottom drawer and you don't want to use it, but it's there if you need it.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where I'm at. And of course I put some little cookies and stuff in there for the employer or the business, because that's a thanks for being so thoughtful and actually taking that step and thinking outside the square.
Yeah, it's literally the awareness is the first key.
Yeah.
For the employer and for the woman as well. The awareness of, say, for the employer, that they're acknowledging that the woman has gone through this, and for the mum, the lost mum, to know that there is support for her. There are people out there that understand her and can support her through what she's navigating. And it doesn't have to feel so isolating.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about, what you're working on in terms of your support for baby loss mums in general?
Yep. So at the moment, I've developed, first of all, a next step session, which is just a sort of the first touch point with me. And that's 1 hour of chatting and creating a resource and grief relief pack for you, guiding you and making you aware as a mum and as a community member what is already available to you. That, yes, it might be a helpline, but that's what you have right now that you can use, and figuring out who's in your circle of trust and figuring out lots of little tools for your grief toolbox that you need. And so we've got a workbook we work through, and I check back in the next week to make sure we've thought of everything. And then I have at the moment a 3-month program available, and that is helping you it's the Blossoms mentoring. And I refer to Blossoms because I have now my Bush Blossoms program, which is baby lost mums in the bush. So I'm very passionate about that. And so the 3 months is to help raise awareness, or for you to become aware of all that has affected you and all that you have been going through, for you to acknowledge all of that. And let's, start filling the toolbox with some tools to help you cope with your day-to-day, just your day-to-day life, and help improve that quality of life. We shouldn't be punished for what's happened, and to have, our quality of life go down the gurgler. We need to be able to live after the loss, and as horrible as it sounds, you should never have to go through it, but we do. And so let's look at how we can survive it. Better. So over those 3 months, we just piece that jigsaw together and work on all the areas we can in that time, and soon to be another 3 months added on the end, which will be deeper understanding.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I'm working on that with Shana too.
Yes. We are working on that.
She's found another gap in my life that I needed filled, and we've done it.
And it's going to be very powerful when it's all put together, because it's going to be that next level of healing and recovery, so that you can honestly, with everything Rochelle is going to be putting together, it's everything that's missing in the current sort of mental health and physical health support for lost mums. You will be able to walk away with tangible tools to support your emotions, to support your nervous system, to support you holistically. And when you are able to do that, like Rochelle just said, you're able to actually live. Like, we shouldn't be punished, and we shouldn't be putting a cap on ourselves and our capabilities. You'll be able to actually live after your loss, and life won't be so heavy. So it's going to be a beautiful program. The 3-month program she has is incredible, and it's going to transform your life in 3 months. I don't believe in having to spend years in understanding all of that for yourself and getting the tools for you to navigate your day-to-day life. You should be able to do that, right away from day one.
Exactly. And I'm sitting here like, I feel so excited. Like, my heart rate's up and everything. I'm that excited to be able to offer this, because I never thought. I mean, I've had my program that I've been offering since I became a practitioner, and it has been amazing, but I never thought I'd be able to offer more. And I now am actually able to offer more in a better structure again to what we already had. It was just so exciting to be able to do it. And I thank you so much, because I just didn't think that would be possible. And it absolutely is possible.
Yeah. So I'm excited for you.
Our mums are going to, we both look like grinning little Cheshire cats. If you're not watching the, the video that goes with this and listening to the podcast, just imagine 2 Cheshire cats excited about this prospect of being able to help our blossoms out there in the community. It's incredible. I can't wait to keep going with it. It's awesome.
Yeah. And, the biggest thing I think that you're able to offer is that place of safety. To heal, you must feel safe. And after loss, the big wide world can be very scary. Work is scary. People are scary. Just the idea of maybe running into someone and having a conversation can be scary. So you're actually giving them tangible tools to navigate that, and giving them a safe person to talk to about that actually deeply understands them and where they're coming from. And they might be frozen in the frozen food section and not be able to move because they're literally scared.
No idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
What to say, do, or
Yeah. So I am really excited. I love, literally, we have been smiling like little 2 Cheshire cats, like for the podcast. So I am just in awe of you and what you've been able to create, and the fact that you were nominated and you did receive an award for what you are doing. So, you are getting acknowledged. There are things, this is something so much bigger than us that is actually going to create this huge and beautiful ripple effect through the lives of lost parents. And yeah, I can't wait to see, what more comes from you and your beautiful gifts that you have to share with the world.
Thank you. I have got to say that, and I don't know if you feel this way, but I know a lot of us who go on after loss, any grief or loss, that go on to then help people in that situation. I do honestly feel like it's how I parent Edward and my miscarriage. I feel like I can't parent him here on earth, but I can honour him and parent him by doing this and helping others. And that's, it's so special to me to be able to do it, but also very close to the heart. So, it's really important work that we're all doing in the space.
Yeah, that's so beautiful to be able to see it that way.
Yeah.
To look at it through that lens, that you're able to keep his memory alive and parent him by doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions now to finish up. The first is, what did you wish you knew navigating pregnancy loss and baby loss?
I wish I knew that there was a community of lost mums out there. I wished I hadn't have had to search and even create that myself. But, looking back now, they were there. They just were not united in any way that we knew. So I wish I'd known them back then. It would have made life a hell of a lot easier, especially in those first few years and in pregnancies after loss and then loss after loss. So, yeah, that's what I wish I knew, that we're not alone. There is actually a community out there of thousands and millions of us.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know why it seems so hidden, but that was the same thing for me too. I didn't find anyone or any communities until probably a year or so after my loss.
Yeah.
So that is a huge one. And where can people go to learn more about your beautiful offerings?
So pretty much you can find me at The Baby Loss Mentor, all one word, everywhere. So thebabylossmentor.com.au is my website, and you'll find some free resources on there. You'll find I ramble a little bit and do some blogs when something is on my heart, and all of the ways to work with me are on there as well. And you'll find me at Instagram and at Facebook at The Baby Loss Mentor. And if you're a business owner and you're listening to this, or you're in industry or a community organisation and you want to learn more about the bottom drawer box, please just inbox me in one of those areas, or over at LinkedIn. I'm at The Baby Loss Mentor over there. Pretty easy to find. Yeah, so just reach out and I'd be happy to chat with you about that too. And yeah, you can book a next step session anytime and we can chat about 3 months if you're interested in that too.
Yeah, beautiful. I'll link all of your one main handle, but I'll link all of that in the show notes as well so people can easily find you. And I want to thank you, Rochelle, for being a part of the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast.
Thank you. Loved being here.
Thank you to all that have listened in today. If this episode was valuable to you, I invite you to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode. Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.